I'm Matt Sala. I'm a film major.
Okay, Matt, why did you choose London?
I chose London because I don't really speak too many languages, and after being here and traveling through Europe, I realized I wouldn't have really enjoyed going somewhere and not knowing the language.
What were your... Oh, sorry.
But it really, I've been to London before, and I really do love London.
I'm Jen, and I'm a magazine journalism major.
I'm Jess, I'm a BTMM major.
And I'm Jamie Lee, and I'm also a BTMM major.
Okay. Why did you guys choose London?
They speak English, for starters, so when you're studying abroad, there's not too much of a language barrier. But there is a bit of a language barrier.
More than you'd expect.
Yeah. Cheers! It means thank you, you're welcome, and goodbye.
Yeah.
It
All
means a lot
many
of
things. It's like aloha. But I mean, I've always liked England, so it was kind of a go-to option for me.
Yeah.
Because the accents.
I feel like everything that I love is in London, so it's nice and convenient, and it's just a new place, and I love cities.
It's the best of like the old and the new. You've got all of the Tudor residences and then the Roman ruins, and then you have things like the Gherkin and the Eye, which are, you've got 2,000 years of history going on right there. So
Okay.
it's great.
Hi, my name is Anthony Johns, and I'm a film and media arts student at Temple University.
I'm Brittany Smith, and I'm a communications major.
I'm Alex Sinescu, I'm also a film major.
I'm Lilia Savarowski-Androulis, I'm a film major. I'm Jess Lai, and I'm an English major. I'm Kate Lavender, I'm a broadcasting, telecommunications, and mass media major.
I'm the Daniel Craig, and I am a journalism and political science major.
I'm Matt Sala, and I'm a film major.
I'm Kristen DiNardo, public relations. Saray Godovan, I'm communications major.
Sean Pizik, media studies and production.
All right, guys. So, why did you guys choose to study in London? Caitlin?
Well, London, we're all in communications, and London is a media hub in the world, especially for news television. A lot of international news is broadcast from London. And also, I'm not bilingual, and so I figured if I'm living somewhere for 4 months, it would be nice to be able to communicate with people.
Okay. Lily?
I studied French as a minor, and I really wanted to look at Europe as a potential after I graduate. So coming to London is just like scoping out the film scene, what I do, and like I got to travel to France and other things, and I just traveling and then seeing what's here. So.
Cool. Alex?
I wanted to, I guess, see Europe and have somewhere that I could get around without having to speak other languages as well, I guess. I don't know.
Anybody else?
Nobody else.
No? No one likes.
I like the warm beer.
I'm 20 and I can drink.
I've just always wanted to study abroad, and I knew that London was one of the places that I wanted to go. That was pretty much next on my list. So.
Favorite thing?
I hate this question. It's like the worst. Like thing or person or like...
Okay, let's just do favorite anything. Favorite aspect of London.
Okay, I hate saying this. Whenever I get asked this question, I try to think of something pertaining to London, but honestly my favorite thing about London is that it's so close to the other European countries, because I had the most fun I've had this entire trip traveling and going to other countries. And I mean, I've done things here that have been enjoyable, but what sticks out in my mind is the fact that I can just one weekend get on a train and go to Paris, or get a cheap plane ticket and go to Germany, or something like that.
Okay, we'll go to Alex and then Sean.
I guess I'm completely the opposite situation to that. I can pick out my favorite sections of London easily, but I'd say as a whole, East London is like a second home to me on the planet. I feel like it's just, I don't know, it's bizarre how well I fit in there, I guess. And I only went on one trip this whole time. It was just not, feasible for me to keep traveling and stuff. So I still have aspirations to travel while I'm traveling, which is interesting. But I do think that my favorite thing about being stuck in London, I guess, is to really get to be a part of it more than just be placed on top of it, I guess. I don't know. It was, that I would say was an experience that, I don't know, I could relate to anything else probably.
Okay, Sean?
I think I just like London because it's just such an old city. Like New York's all fine and good, but like you just feel so trapped in that city. Like the skyscrapers are towering over. We're here, like you can like walk down an alley and it just feels like you went back like 200 years. And also just like there's always stuff going on. It's just a really cool city.
Okay. Saray?
Yeah, I think my favorite part is how much London surprises me. I'll just get off of the tube at a station and walk up, and like I remember the first time seeing Big Ben in Parliament, and it could still happen. I could go there tomorrow and it would still surprise me. Just every turning corners and seeing new things and wandering around. I think there's so much to explore, and I think that's my favorite part.
Dan?
I didn't realize how big it was. That sounds really dumb, but like it's like a really big city. So like I've been to West London.
I feel like the opposite of that. Though. I feel like it's not as big. Like I feel like I can navigate it a lot better.
Never mind.
No, you're wrong, Dan.
Well, no, it's not a big city.
But like,
Okay. Population count as well.
compared to cities in America, like American cities are usually based around one specific part of the city, and it just goes out in the suburbs. But in London, you have like, different areas which are equally as large and have lots of stuff going on.
Right.
It's all villages.
I'm just
Well, no.
I thought it was small and you thought it was big. I'm not saying you're wrong.
No, Dan, go ahead. Go ahead.
Was that like unlike in Philly? The point I was trying to make was like in Philly, like I feel like I love exploring Philly, but like whenever I walk somewhere, like I always knew where I was going. Like
Yeah.
it's so like cut and dry. It's like this. Like a lot of American cities are like that. But London, like I could literally just walk for a whole day and like see something new, no matter what.
I don't really know if I have a specific favorite thing. There are a lot of things and places I enjoyed, but I mostly enjoyed the city as a whole. I could list places, but that would go on for a while. And I just really like how large the city is, because I've lived in a variety of decently large cities, and they all seem very centered around one location. Philly especially is like that, but like London just keeps going, and there are different areas, and each of them is big in its own way, and you can't really describe it. You have to kind of go and experience each place, and it's fun.
Favorite thing about London?
I love the fact that no two neighborhoods are the same. They're all very different, and they have a very different feel to them, each one. Like you can be around the Westminster area, and then a couple stops away you'll be around the East End and see all the street art and Brick Lane. And that's personally one of my favorite parts of London, is around there. I love seeing the street art and seeing all the different cultures clashing and everything. So it's cool.
I like how connected the whole city is. You can literally get anywhere in the entire city, whether it be by tube, bus, overground, or Emirates airline. They've got it covered, and it's just, it takes maybe an hour to get from one side of the city to the other, and it's great.
I guess just building on those two, like my favorite part of it was just to get on the tube and get off at a random stop just to see what was there, and you would just walk around. And I did it pretty often, and you just you'd see all the different neighborhoods, and you'd sit down in a coffee shop and you'd see all the different type of people that were in one area over the other. And it was just neat to see so many different things, when it was kind of neat doing it on your own as well, because you're just alone and observing.
But it's normal here.
Yes.
They were great.
They were great.
I
Dan?
didn't really have any.
That's good.
Because I came in here purposely with that expectation, because I wanted it to be like a natural experience and not be like checking stuff off a list. So I guess my expectations were filled because I didn't have any.
Caitlin?
My expectations were greatly exceeded, I would say. I did, unlike Dan, I'm a big itinerary person. So I had an itinerary list before I came here. And I don't know, I know everybody says it, but you can't explain the experience in and of itself. Just the feeling that you get from being here and living here and traveling around Europe is amazing.
Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like Dan, where like, I didn't have any particular like expectations. I just knew it was going to be a little different, a little crazy, and a little exciting. And if it wasn't that, then I would have been let down. But it was, it took me on a total journey, and yeah, I mean, I'd say it was definitely worth it.
She's staring down here. Talk.
Lily?
I think, expectations. It's kind of like, I had a lot of people who, a lot of friends who went to London and came back and like, I'll never be the same, and it's just one of those life-changing experiences that is life-changing and it's terrifying. It's kind of like jumping out of a plane. I've never jumped out of a plane. Someone got to do that here though. Where you're just terrified, but it's something you have to do, and at the end of it, it's just you can't be the same afterwards. It's just an experience that you can never deny, no matter how far ahead your life goes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Jess?
I think I came here, I don't know if I had large expectations, but I think my one big one was just have a lot of fun in London with the 4 people that I really love. So, Lily, Matt, Sean. Actually, that's not 4, that's 3. I can't do Matt.
Yourself, right?
And me. I guess I'm 4. I love myself, but
Oh,
it ended up being more than that. This trip became bigger than just having fun and bigger than just getting to study abroad here. I think, being here has changed me. That sounds so cliche, but, I definitely found myself here. And it was quite an enjoyable experience. It kind of sucked at times, but it has definitely become a city that I will love for a very long time.
Sure. All right. Matt and then, Kristen and then Matt.
Okay, me first. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to go along with the cliche and say I had high expectations for the city of London itself, but not so much how I would evolve as a person. So I was really surprised to see that. So I guess I would say my expectations were exceeded.
Well, I'd been to London before, and I had really loved it when I was here before, but coming here was a very different experience. And so I guess I had expectations based off of that time being here. And it was just, living here is a lot different than traveling here. And you get to experience it every day, and it's weird. I like it.
Frolic.
Sorry.
No, we frolic with them.
What did you
Frolic.
With them.
And Eastbourne.
Candace and I and Jess Bowman and Jamie Lee went to Eastbourne.
Yeah.
Before we did the Beachy Head trip, and we just went hiking and we fell in the mud. And I don't know.
You jumped in a river.
I jumped in a river because I'm.
And Jess fell in. It was a lot of fun.
But then at the end of the day, we got to hang out with sheep. So.
Yeah. They just they graze freely. They're not caged or anything. It's fun.
Yeah, no, it's cool. But anyway, so that's one I really like, that London is such a big city, but it's so close to so much natural beauty. And even in the city, I mean, London has the most green space out of any city I know in Europe, I think. Maybe possibly the world, or one of the big, I'm done talking. I like the green space.
Anthony?
like grass.
I like grass and sheep.
I don't know. I would say my favorite aspect is just the people, because in London it's such a metropolitan area. You've got a little bit of everybody here. You've got, it's so diverse. I don't know if I've ever seen that many people, and especially riding on the subways, going to work in the morning.
It's called the Tube.
Or the Tube.
He's talking to an American audience.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the Tube, the underground, I don't know, it's you get in there and you're so packed in, and you literally look around and you see a different type of person, from every direction. And I don't know, I just find that really energizing,
It's like Epcot.
Yeah.
They can relate.
Except in Epcot, everybody's angry.
The food's just about as good, I bet.
It is.
Getting over the jet lag was one for me personally. but that's really nothing. I mean, other than that, I didn't have any real cultural challenges. I kind of just went with the flow with everything. Yeah, didn't really have any.
I guess there's some expectations, at least in the workplace when you're with real British people, that you should just know what they're thinking or what they're trying to say without them actually saying anything. So I kind of sometimes felt like I had to be a telepath in order to understand what I was actually supposed to do. Instead of, like, one time I was told, go on Twitter, and I was supposed to know what to do, and it was my second day there, and I didn't even know the Twitter login info yet.
Yeah, like the vagueness and passive aggressiveness all together. I don't know, I had a hard time being away from my cats and my mom.
Shout out to the cats.
But, I don't know, because it's so interesting, you never really get bored and just sit around and think about things, you just kind of keep going, so I don't know what my biggest challenge
I guess one thing is that they're very reserved here, or at least not very reserved, but compared to Americans, I think they're very reserved. I think they're not as willing to be upfront and, like, in your face with friendliness and everything. Like, they kind of keep to themselves, which to me it's a lot different compared to home. It's not really a challenge, but it's definitely a cultural difference.
And it's hard to know if they're joking or not.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Because everything is pretty much a joke here, but sometimes you can tell that they're just hiding behind it instead of actually saying what's on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you get offended, they'll just tell you that you're being oversensitive because it's clearly a joke, but you know they're not joking.
No.
Money.
Yeah,
Money.
Money.
Jeff?
Money.
Jeff?
Hardest part. Like, being surrounded by people but always feeling lonely. Like, I don't know how to explain it. No, what I mean is that, like, you have moments where you're alone a lot and you enjoy that time, but then there are moments where you're like, where you have nowhere to go.
You don't have your own room.
You don't have your own
which is so
room,
sad.
and then sometimes you just feel so, like, trapped.
Yeah.
That's one thing, but, like, other than that, there's just, like, one part of the experience was just never having your own space sometimes. Or, like, not knowing if how other people were feeling the same way and then realizing that other people were. Like,
Gotcha.
that whole aspect of it.
Yeah. Caitlin?
I honestly would say I didn't have any challenges being here.
I have more than
Seriously,
everyone.
I never got homesick. I still am not homesick. I still don't want to go home. Like, I had one money thing because I had a medical emergency, but besides that, the biggest challenge was being here, having to tell myself that I'm here for studying and working and not just for holidaying, because, as the Brits do say, because when I had to go to my internships on Thursdays and Fridays, even though it was a good internship, I just couldn't stop thinking about how I wanted to be out and exploring the city. But still, it was a good internship, good experience.
Yeah. Sean?
I think the hardest part is, like, not getting too comfortable, just because, like, the first month you're here, it's just, like, a whole whirlwind of stuff that you're doing. But, like, once you're acclimated, it's kind of easy to be like, oh, I could go out tonight, or I could just sit on my couch and watch, like, the In-Betweeners and, like, drink, you know, beer or whatever. So, like, definitely, you know I've definitely done that a lot, and I don't regret it, but it would have been nice to, like, be a little more active in my last, like, month here than I have been.
But, like, the flip side of that, though, like, I agree completely because I had the same problem. But, like, the flip side of that is you also have to, like, slow yourself down. Like,
Yeah.
you have to realize that, like, even though you're here in London, like, you do have to give yourself rest, and you really do have to, like...
And you
like,
have to work.
Yeah, like, the first month I was here, it was just, like, crazy, like, party, go do stuff, and then I realized, like, I was just burned out. So you really
Everybody
have
got
to-
sick.
Yeah, you really do have to, like, take care of yourself and, like, make sure you eat good
We
and
also
not eat
have
Burger King every day.
We also have school too. I
Yeah.
have to like mix
School.
doing our homework with all of that other stuff, and that was hard.
Staying creative is a challenge.
What do you mean staying creative?
All right. Anthony, go ahead.
I think for me, I mean, besides the money issue, that was definitely a big issue. I think just living with people all the time was something to deal with, you know, because...
Yeah, especially you, Anthony.
Just kidding. It's a joke.
JK.
Case in point. But
No, it's just Dan Smith. That was it.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're like always living with people, and there's times where you want to just go inwards and get away and contemplate and think, and you can't do that. But the great thing about that is it forces you to strengthen your social skills. It forces you to learn from other people. And yeah, I mean, it's energizing. That's the one thing I'll say. Having people around is energizing, and it's been great.
I would tell myself that when it comes to the end of this trip that you really need to start packing much sooner than you have been, because it's the end of the trip and you haven't done any packing and you haven't seen a lot of things, and just go see them sooner. Go the first week, just go.
Don't leave everything
Go see
until the last
everything.
minute.
Yeah. Don't leave packing. Packing's important. Don't go and try and see stuff last week. I mean, do it, but see it earlier.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is you can't go into this because I had a lot of friends who were like, oh, this, you have to know that and this, and you have to make sure. You can't do that. You have to go in knowing nothing, because that's how you learn, and that's how you find the greatest things. Yeah, I had a whole list of places that I should go. Did I go to any of them? Yeah. Did I go to all of them? No. I went to some, and I'm glad I went to some of them, but it wasn't about, it's about being here and experiencing it, not knowing anything, and just going full force ahead. You can't know anything prior. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like the no expectations thing.
Exactly. You have to go in and blindfold yourself 3 months beforehand, and then just go completely open to whatever happens, and just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
Brittany?
with her, because I feel like the best part of being here was just discovering new things. I love the fact that every day I was able to wake up and just go out anywhere. I would just take the tube, and wherever I landed, I would just go and discover new things. So I think that was a big part of it, was not knowing where I was going to end up.
Okay. Matt?
I think kind of going along with that, I felt like I feel like I put off stuff till the end, and I didn't. I would always be like, oh, I can do that tomorrow, and they told us in the beginning of the trip, you
Don't
will
do
do that, and I was like, no, I won't. And then you get to the last week.
You did, all right?
I did it. Okay.
You blew it.
Capiche? And also don't wait until the last day to pack.
Yeah. I don't think any of us have.
I'm packing tonight, I promise.
I put something in a bag once.
Yeah.
I
packed the gifts.
You packed everything?
Pretty much.
This one's really.
Oh, shut up.
But no, this one's really simple. But I think the most important thing I learned was not to take myself too seriously. I feel like I have a much lighter heart after being here for 3 months. I think the first month or 2 months I was overly serious. Yeah, I mean when you live with people
Like that one.
Dan Craig, funny people.
Don't worry as much.
Yeah.
Because I was really stressed out before I came, and I was worried about making friends, worried about missing home, worrying about money and things. But then if you worry about that too long, then you miss out on some fun things. So just to let things run their course, and you'll get there.
Yeah. Not panicking so much. Stop second guessing myself and just go for things. And being here really made me think about what I want to do in the future. It made me reevaluate what I want to do career-wise in my life, and the things that I want to see in the world, and even what I want to do back when I go back to America, all the things that I want to do in America as well, because we've traveled, around Europe and everything. It's nice, but we forget that there's a lot of beautiful places back home in America, and there's those little treasures. So it'd be nice to go back and really appreciate all that.
I think I'd definitely tell myself to come with a better game plan, because I did a fair amount of planning for fall break and going to mainland Europe, but I feel like I didn't come as prepared for actual London. You can't always just depend on finding something, you should definitely make some sort of list or flag pages in a guidebook. Much more, like, do it more than you think you need to, because you always need more.
And that London is huge, so don't think you're going to get everything done because you're not.
You won't.
Silly things for when you're dead.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ain't no rest for the wicked. Absolutely not.
Preach it, preach it.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
I would say just logistically don't pack too light, because I know a lot of people overpack and that was an issue, but I got here and I put everything in my closet. I literally had like 2 shirts. And then, I mean, of course, there's Primark, which you can go get. Yeah, Primark. That's
Primark.
Parents blow all your money at Primark.
Yeah,
Primark stole my heart and my wallet.
basically, you need to
The
know
Chinese children's
monetarily what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening to me.
You brought up Primark.
Anybody else want to comment on that? Alex?
Don't feel any. Don't. One thing that I've learned after a little while is not to feel like pressure to go do the big, like, get wasted and party in a big group of your classmates thing. That was hard to figure out at first, I think, because you kind of like, you're sort of afraid to break up because, I don't know, you just don't know what you don't know what you're doing, and it's kind of a scary thing to go out on your own. But once you do, I think you really start to see some crazy stuff that really sits with you.
Sean?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Kristen.
I was gonna say, don't go into it thinking you're gonna go to a different country or a different city every single weekend. I think
expensive.
it's number one, it's expensive. It's a lie saying that it's really, really cheap to
Can I
travel
just
places.
really quickly interrupt?
No,
Whoever that kid
exactly.
was, you're a liar. It's not $8 to fly to different countries.
No, it's not. That is a big thing to happen. It's not as cheap as everybody says. It's like 90 pounds one way to take a train to Paris. Okay, so besides that, I think immersing yourself in the city of London itself is more important. Like, you're here to be in London more so than you're here to be going across the, you know.
Balance it,
balance it. I mean, definitely, like, visit places, but try to stay in London because there's so much to see. And I still feel like I haven't even seen half of it, even though I've been here for 3.5 months.
Oh, and wine is $3.99 at the tube stop. So,
and you
So
can
go
get
there.
Grocery store vodka for £6.
Oh God, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that ever.
Do that all the time.
No. If you want to throw up in the urinal,
Jess?
Drink in the common room.
Do everything you ever wanted. And if it's free, definitely do it.
Do everything free.
Do it twice. Do it
Yeah.
twice. Do it twice if it's free.
Saray?
Don't feel obligated to take an internship. Do it if you really feel that you want to come here and do an internship and get that out of your experience. But coming from someone who didn't have the best time, I wish now, going back, I didn't take one. But if you really feel you should, then still do it.
Lily?
That's going along with what Saray just said. Is like, don't have expectations about your internship, because I think I got really lucky. Like, I absolutely loved mine, and I'm so thankful. But a lot of my like close classmates didn't have as
You
great
were
of a
the
time.
exception, not the rule.
I was really the
Yeah, I love
exception,
mine.
and like.
Piss off.
And I really enjoyed it, and I'm very thankful for that. But don't go expecting that, like, I'm going to have this internship, it's going to be the best thing ever. Like, thankfully mine was, but a lot of people don't have the same story as me. A lot of people.
Matt?
Yeah, I also was in the disliking my internship in the beginning. It got better, but you always have that feeling of, would I like to be here, or would I rather be out doing something right now? And it's something to think about.
Personally, I think I chose London because, well, I don't know. I don't know why I chose London. I kind of just jumped on the idea when I first was told about it. And one of my coworkers at Temple actually recommended that I go on a study abroad trip to London. So I kind of went with that. And I figured that London made the most sense for me as a major because my major is communications. And I think it was most important for me to understand media in a different culture that still speaks English, but to see the differences in the culture in itself and the mass media that goes behind it. My expectations, I don't know if I really had expectations. I didn't do a whole lot of research in coming over of what I wanted to do here, what there was to do. I kind of just opened the door and just walked right through, and I was in London and I really didn't know what to expect, but I took everything with a grain of salt, and I think that was the most important thing to do. And if I would go back, I would say I would make some, I would do some research to see what I could do and what I would like to do, but I mean, I had just as well of a time. It's better discovery. It was more of a discovery aspect for me, that I could see the city and it would be just a whole new perspective, and I wouldn't know what to expect necessarily. My favorite thing about London was that it is so vast, and there is so much to it, and it's just a huge city. I really liked that, you know, it really encourages you and engages you to go out and do something. There's so much to see. There's so many little parts and towns and villages that make up the city itself as a whole. And I think that's really interesting and fascinating. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is, you know, after work or after class, I would just jump on a bus to somewhere and see where it goes and just, you know, take a look at the view. I think it was really important for me to understand that, you know, I'm not going to see everything in London, and, you know, that's the way it has to be. I mean, I was really excited to see what I did see, and I saw a lot. But it was just, you know, it's just an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing city. I love the city. But it was a lot to see. Some of the challenges I think I faced, let's see the challenges. I would say I had a lot of personal challenges. I had to really become more outgoing, more than I was at Temple, because I wasn't comfortable here as I am back at Temple. I had to make new friends, and I had to really understand the ways of the British culture and the ways that people interact with each other. And, you know, you just can't go up to somebody and start talking. There's a certain etiquette about it. And it's just, it was a little bit challenging to figure that out. The culture itself wasn't as challenging to understand because it's relatively similar to America, but I think the biggest one was understanding the people, and me personally being outgoing, you know, having the courage to go out and just do something even though you look stupid, or, you know, you're the only American in the room, but that's okay because, you know, you still have something to contribute. If I could tell myself one thing 3 months ago that I knew now, it would be, you know, not to be scared to take control or to take an action. This whole trip was really about me growing personally, professionally, and intellectually. And I feel that I've done all that. And I think that really stemmed from not having the, you know, not being scared to talk to people, not being scared to do something by yourself. Just not being scared to really live in London. I mean, coming into this, I really didn't think much about it. I didn't think about, you know, what would go into it, the finances, how expensive it is, what's the long-term effect. I just kind of jumped at the idea, and I'm glad I did that because it was really helpful. And it showed me that, you know, this was really the best decision I've really ever made in my life. And I feel that it stemmed out of something that was a little bit haphazard, really. So yeah, I think the one thing I would tell myself a lot if I could go back in time, I would tell myself that you need to trust in your instinct, because it's brought me here, essentially. I would say that you shouldn't pack as much. I mean, obviously you can see my suitcase, and it is large, and then there's another one. So I'm just about done packing. This is my last day in London. But yeah, no, I would like to say that it's been a pleasure blogging for the Study Abroad office. It's been such a pleasure showing you all London from my point of view. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's given you a little bit of insight about what I do here. I'm really sad to leave, and I'm sad to leave the blog, but I'll be back next semester to Temple, and I'll be talking about my experience so much. I'll definitely miss it, and you know, it's always going to be a part of me. It's always going to be a big part of who I am and what I'm about. So London is definitely, you know, it's definitely got a special place in my heart. With that, I think I'll let you guys go. Like I said, it's been a pleasure, and thanks for watching. If you've been watching, thanks to Erin, Leslie, everybody at SCT, and thanks to London, because it's took me, taken me to a lot of places. All right, bye guys.